What if I told you that a girl who had never set foot in a classroom until she was 17 years old would eventually earn a PhD from Cambridge University? What if I told you that this same girl grew up believing that the government was evil, that doctors were agents of Satan, and that the end of the world was imminent? Today, we're diving deep into one of the most powerful memoirs of our time, Educated by Tara Westover, a story that will challenge everything you think you know about education, family, and the courage it takes to transform your entire world. This isn't just another success story about overcoming obstacles. This is a raw, unflinching look at what happens when someone decides to question everything they've been taught, even when it means potentially losing everyone they love. Tara Westover's journey from a survivalist compound in rural Idaho to the halls of Harvard and Cambridge is nothing short of extraordinary, but is also heartbreaking, complex, and deeply human. Educated by Tara Westover stands as one of the most compelling memoirs published in recent decades, a testament to the transformative power of learning and the devastating cost of seeking truth. Published in 2018, this extraordinary work chronicles Westover's journey from complete isolation within a fundamentalist Mormon family to becoming one of the most educated people in the world. The book immediately captured global attention, spending weeks on bestseller lists and earning numerous literary awards. What makes Educated so remarkable isn't just the dramatic transformation of its protagonist, but the way Westover masterfully explores the tension between loyalty and growth, between family and self-discovery. Set against the backdrop of Buck's Peak, a mountain in rural Idaho, the memoir unfolds like a psychological thriller, revealing layer after layer of family dysfunction, religious extremism, and the gradual awakening of a brilliant mind. Westover's father, a survivalist who distrusted the government and formal education, kept his family completely isolated from mainstream society. They didn't attend school, rarely visited doctors, and lived in constant preparation for the end times. Yet, within this oppressive environment, Tara possessed an insatiable curiosity that would eventually lead her to question everything she had been taught. The book operates on multiple levels simultaneously. It's a coming-of-age story, a family saga, an exploration of religious fundamentalism, and a meditation on the nature of memory and truth. Westover's prose is both lyrical and precise, painting vivid pictures of her mountain home while delving deep into the psychological complexities of her relationships with her parents and siblings. What sets Educated apart from other memoirs is Westover's unflinching honesty about the contradictions and complexities of her experience. She doesn't present herself as a perfect victim or her family as simple villains. Instead, she offers a nuanced portrait of people trapped by their beliefs, damaged by their circumstances, and struggling with forces beyond their understanding. The story begins with Tara Westover as a child on Buck's Peak, where her family lives completely off the grid. Her father, Gene, is a survivalist who believes that the government is evil and that formal education is a tool of indoctrination. Her mother, Faye, initially supports his worldview, but gradually develops her own alternative healing practice. The family operates a junkyard and prepares for the apocalypse, stockpiling food and weapons while avoiding any contact with official institutions. Tara's childhood is marked by dangerous work in the junkyard, where safety regulations are non-existent and accidents are frequent. Her brother, Sean, becomes increasingly violent and abusive, particularly toward Tara, yet their parents either ignore or actively deny his behaviour. The family's isolation is so complete that Tara doesn't even have a birth certificate until she's 9 years old. Despite this oppressive environment, Tara becomes fascinated by learning. She teaches herself to read using the Bible and a handful of other books, and she begins to question the stories her father tells about the outside world. When her older brother, Tyler, leaves for college, he plants the seed in Tara's mind that education might be possible for her too. The turning point comes when Tara decides to take the SAT exam, studying math and grammar entirely on her own. Despite having no formal education, she scores well enough to gain admission to Brigham Young University. Her entry into the academic world is jarring and difficult, but she discovers an incredible aptitude for learning that had been suppressed for years. As Tara progresses through her education, earning scholarships to study at Harvard and Cambridge, the gulf between her and her family widens dramatically. Her increasing knowledge and changing worldview create an unbridgeable chasm, forcing her to choose between the family she loves and the person she's becoming. The foundation of Tara's story lies in the extreme survivalist lifestyle imposed by her father, Gene. Living on Buck's Peak in rural Idaho, the Westover family prepared constantly for what Gene believed was the imminent end of the world. He viewed the government as fundamentally evil and saw formal education as a tool of Satan designed to corrupt children's minds. This belief system created a completely isolated environment where Tara and her siblings were denied access to schools, hospitals, and most contact with the outside world. The dangerous working conditions in the family's junkyard serve as a crucial element in understanding Tara's childhood trauma. Gene forced his children to work with heavy machinery, hazardous materials, and dangerous equipment without any safety precautions. Multiple serious accidents occurred, including incidents where family members were severely burned, cut, or injured. These accidents were treated at home by Tara's mother using herbal remedies and alternative healing methods, with the family refusing to seek professional medical care even in life-threatening situations. Tara's brother, Sean's escalating violence, represents one of the most disturbing aspects of her story. As they grew older, Sean became increasingly abusive toward Tara, both physically and psychologically. He would grab her by the hair, slam her head against walls, and subject her to terrifying episodes of violence. Perhaps even more damaging was the family's complete denial of this abuse, with parents who either refused to acknowledge what was happening or actively defended Sean's behaviour. The pivotal moment when Tara's brother Tyler decided to pursue higher education created the first crack in the family's isolation. Tyler's departure for college was treated as a betrayal by their father, but it also opened Tara's eyes to possibilities she had never considered. Tyler secretly encouraged Tara to think about education, sharing books with her, and suggesting that she might be capable of learning in ways their father had never allowed. Tara's decision to take the ACT exam without any formal preparation represents an extraordinary act of courage and determination. Teaching herself mathematics, grammar, and other subjects entirely from Coward's textbooks and library materials, she managed to score well enough to gain admission to Brigham Young University. This achievement was made even more remarkable by the fact that she had to overcome not just educational gaps, but also her family's active opposition to her pursuing any form of higher learning. Her initial experiences at BYU were both thrilling and traumatic. Tara discovered that her understanding of history, science, and the world was fundamentally flawed. Learning about the Holocaust, the civil rights movement, and basic scientific principles forced her to confront the fact that much of what her father had taught her was simply untrue. This realization was both liberating and devastating, as it meant questioning everything she had been raised to believe. The progression of Tara's academic achievements from BYU to Harvard to Cambridge demonstrates not just her intellectual capabilities, but also her growing distance from her family. Each academic success created more tension at home, with her parents viewing her education as evidence that she was being corrupted by outside influences. Her father's mental health issues became more pronounced as he struggled to maintain control over his family's beliefs and behaviours. The final confrontation between Tara and her family occurs when she refuses to accept their version of events regarding Sean's violence and their father's increasingly erratic behaviour. When Tara demands that her parents acknowledge the abuse she suffered and take steps to protect other family members, they instead choose to cut her off completely. This devastating conclusion forces Tara to choose between maintaining family relationships and preserving her own sanity and safety. The most profound lesson from educated centres on the transformative power of questioning accepted truths. Tara's journey demonstrates that real education isn't just about acquiring knowledge, but about developing the courage to examine our fundamental assumptions about reality. Her willingness to challenge everything she had been taught, even when it meant potentially losing her family, shows us that intellectual honesty often requires tremendous personal sacrifice. Understanding the difference between loyalty and enablement emerges as another crucial takeaway. Tara's story illustrates how family loyalty can become toxic when it prevents us from acknowledging harmful behaviour or seeking help. Her parents' refusal to protect her from Sean's violence in the name of family unity shows how misguided loyalty can perpetuate cycles of abuse and prevent healing. The memoir powerfully demonstrates that healing from trauma is not a linear process, but requires ongoing commitment to self-examination and growth. Tara's journey through therapy and self-discovery reveals that confronting painful truths about our past is essential for building a healthier future. Her experience shows that healing often involves grieving, not just for what happened to us, but for the relationships and sense of belonging we may have to leave behind. Educated also teaches us about the malleability of memory and the subjective nature of truth. Tara's struggle to reconcile her memories with her family's version of events highlights how different people can experience the same situation in completely different ways. This insight is particularly relevant in our current era of competing narratives and alternative facts. The book reveals how education can serve as both liberation and isolation. While learning gave Tara the tools to escape her oppressive environment, it also created an unbridgeable gap between her and the people she loved. This paradox shows us that growth often comes at a cost, and that the pursuit of truth may require us to leave behind communities that no longer serve our well-being. Another significant lesson involves recognising the signs of mental illness and understanding how untreated psychological problems can affect entire families. Gene's paranoid delusions and erratic behaviour created a toxic environment that damaged everyone around him. Tara's story demonstrates the importance of seeking professional help for mental health issues and the devastating consequences of allowing ideology to prevent proper treatment. The memoir also explores the complex relationship between individual agency and systemic oppression. While Tara ultimately found the strength to escape her circumstances, her story also shows how factors like gender, religion, and social isolation can create seemingly insurmountable barriers to personal growth and self-determination. Perhaps most importantly, Educated teaches us about the courage required to live authentically. Tara's decision to pursue education despite her family's opposition, and later her choice to speak truthfully about her experiences even when it meant losing those relationships, demonstrates that authentic living often requires us to choose difficult paths. The book also reveals how education can provide tools for understanding and processing trauma. Through her academic work, particularly in history and psychology, Tara gained frameworks for understanding her experiences and developing healthier ways of relating to the world. Finally, Educated shows us that it's possible to maintain compassion for people who have hurt us while still protecting ourselves from further harm. Tara's nuanced portrayal of her family members demonstrates that people can be both victims and perpetrators, and that understanding the complexity of human behaviour doesn't require us to accept abuse or manipulation. Educated by Tara Westover stands as a testament to the human capacity for transformation and the power of education to liberate us from limiting circumstances. This remarkable memoir challenges readers to examine their own assumptions about family, loyalty, and the price of personal growth. Westover's journey from an isolated survivalist compound to the world's most prestigious universities is not just an inspiring success story, but a complex exploration of the sacrifices required to live authentically. The book's lasting impact lies in its refusal to offer simple answers or easy resolutions. Westover doesn't present education as a cure-all or suggest that leaving toxic relationships is always the right choice. Instead, she offers a nuanced portrayal of the difficult decisions we all face when our growth requires us to challenge the people and beliefs that have shaped us. What makes Educated particularly relevant today is its exploration of how competing narratives and alternative facts can tear families and communities apart. In an era of increasing polarisation and misinformation, Westover's commitment to truth-telling, even when it's painful and costly, serves as a powerful example of intellectual courage. The memoir also demonstrates that healing and growth are possible even in the most challenging circumstances. Tara's story offers hope to anyone who has felt trapped by their circumstances or struggled to break free from toxic relationships. Her journey shows that with courage, determination, and support, it's possible to create a new life based on our own values and understanding of the world. Ultimately, Educated is a book about the transformative power of learning and the courage required to think for ourselves. It reminds us that true education is not just about acquiring knowledge, but about developing the wisdom to use that knowledge in service of a more authentic and fulfilling life.